TIFU by realizing I'm not a wimp, just allergic and could have died, by user changemalif99. So, I'm a 29-year-old guy from a Mexican family where if a food doesn't make you sweat, it's not a real meal. I've always been the odd one out. My tolerance for spice is basically zero, and I've accepted my role as the family lightweight. My thing has always been salsa verde. Every single time I ate it, my lips would get a little puffy and tingly. It wasn't like, scary swollen, but it was noticeable. I just thought, okay, cool. This is what a mild spice feels like for a wimp like me. It was my normal. I'd just take a Benadryl if it felt a bit more intense than usual and get on with my day. The big plot twist happened last Sunday at a family barbecue. We're all eating tacos, and I slather on the salsa verde. Within a few minutes, I feel the familiar puff up starting. I nudged my sister and said, "Whoa, this green salsa has a real kick today. My lip is already getting fat." She looked at my mouth, then back at the salsa, and started laughing. "Dude, that's not a kick. Your lip is actually swelling. Mom didn't put any chilies in that. It's just the tomatillo and onion stuff." The whole table got quiet and just stared at my face. My mom's eyes got huge. "My Joe," she said, "that's not spice. You're allergic. You've been having a reaction this whole time and just calling it spicy." It finally clicked. For 29 years, I thought my puffy lip was a sign of my weak constitution. Turns out, my body was just having a low-key allergic meltdown to a totally normal ingredient. I wasn't a wimp, I was just unknowingly dosing myself with an allergen and treating it with Benadryl. So yeah, I'm not bad with spice. I'm just allergic to the family's safe sauce. I've got an appointment to figure out what exactly hates me, but for now, the jokes at my expense are absolutely relentless. TLDR, for my whole life, I thought getting a puffy lip from salsa verde was a normal reaction to mild spice. My family finally figured out I'm just allergic. I've been casually treating my allergic reactions with Benadryl thinking I was just spice intolerant. I fear I could have died at some point if not for the Benadryl. TIFU when I shut down my young co-workers' advances, by user traditional dig 6693. Alright, Reddit. This particular screw-up happened last night, and I'm currently at my desk feeling like I'm just waiting for a bomb to go off. Look, I'm just a regular guy. 32 years old, married to a woman who's way out of my league, and our life is simple and good. I like it that way. I come to work, I do my job, I go home. The last thing I want or need is drama. About a month ago, we hired a new girl, Kay. She's 18, right out of school, and full of that bubbly energy I vaguely remember having. For some reason, she's decided I'm her target. At first I figured she was just friendly, but it's gotten to a point where I can't ignore it. It's been things like 1. Finding little hearts drawn on my notepads if I leave them in the kitchen. 2. The constant staring. I'll be working and get that feeling someone's watching me, and sure enough, it's her. She just blushes when I look up. 3. Some loudmouth in sales jokingly called her my work wife, and she just ran with it. Started signing notes to me with WW. Just mortifying. 4. The real kicker was when I was talking with a buddy here about wanting kids with my wife, and Kay, who was pretending not to listen, chirps in with, "I've always thought I'd make a great stepmom." What do you even say to that? My strategy, which in hindsight was pretty dumb, was to just be aggressively married. I'd bring my wife up constantly, hoping she'd get the message. My wife and I saw that movie, my wife packs my lunch, etc. I thought I was setting a clear boundary. I was not. So, this brings us to the fuck up last night. It's late, and it's just the two of us left in the office finishing a project. The place is dead quiet. She brings me a coffee I didn't ask for and does that thing where her fingers linger on mine for way too long when she hands it to me. I pulled my hand away, and she gets this really serious look and asks, "Are you really happy?" And that was it. My patience, which I usually have a lot of, just hit zero. All the weeks of awkwardness and cringing just boiled over. I dropped the polite nice guy act and I was just blunt. I looked her right in the eye and said, "My wife is my world." That's not an appropriate question for work, and it's not up for discussion. I expected her to get embarrassed, maybe stammer an apology. But that's not what happened. It was like I flipped a switch. The smile, the bubbly personality, all of it just vanished. Her face went completely blank. She just stared at me for a second, then said okay in this flat, dead voice. The rest of the night was dead silent. It was the most uncomfortable hour of my entire career. Today, it's like I'm sitting next to a stranger. A really angry stranger. She won't look at me, but the vibe is so hostile it's making my skin crawl. I'm no longer dealing with a kid with a crush, I'm dealing with a pissed off woman I have to work with every single day. My big fuck up was thinking that being direct would solve the problem. But I think I just made it 1,000 times worse. Now I'm just sitting here, replaying it in my head, convinced she's going to march down to HR and claim I was the one hitting on her. TLDR, a young coworker had a very obvious and inappropriate crush on me. I tried ignoring it and dropping hints, but last night I finally got blunt and shut her down. Now her personality has done a complete 180, she's giving me a hostile silent treatment, and I'm terrified I poked a bear and she's going to try and get me fired. TIFU took the term baby shower literally, by user KFJKKFK. I'm from Eastern Europe, a country where there's no such tradition. I'm currently in the US, and my friend was throwing a baby shower for her cousin. I didn't think to Google what it was and assumed she'd already given birth. So, I thought it's some weird American tradition where you have to bathe a baby for the first time. I thought it was really weird, but I didn't ask because I didn't want to be rude. I brought some baby shower gel as a gift, thinking I was doing everything right, but then I came home and saw she was pregnant. I had a 404 error in my brain, and now her relatives are making fun of me. I really thought it was like you come and they bathe the baby for the first time, symbolizing the beginning of something or milestone, but I didn't understand why they would invite a bunch of people, including those you don't know. TLDR, I took the baby shower literally and now my friend's relatives are laughing at me. I feel extremely dumb. TIFU by accidentally becoming my client's wife's boyfriend, update by user may not be lawyer for long. So it's been about 7 months since the conference room incident, and people have been asking what happened. Short answer, it's been a mess. About 3 weeks after I withdrew from Dave's case, I got called into a meeting with the senior partners. 3 partners, our firm's general counsel, and a rep from our malpractice carrier on video call. The managing partner slides a folder across the table. Opposing counsel reported a conflict of interest issue to the State Bar under Rule 8.3. We've been notified of a disciplinary inquiry. Fuck. Dave's new attorney filed the report. They don't get to decide what happens, they just report potential violations and the bar takes it from there. I have to explain everything. How I met Sarah, how we'd been casually dating for a couple months, how she used a different name socially, how my conflict check on her legal name didn't flag anything because I never connected the dots. The general counsel is taking notes. Walk me through your conflict check process. I explain the intake procedures, how the system works, how Sarah's legal surname didn't match what she'd told me. It sounds worse when I say it out loud. This is a clear model Rule 1.7, A2, issue, material limitation conflict, the general counsel says. You were correct to withdraw under Rule 1.16, but we need to understand how this wasn't caught earlier. The malpractice carrier rep unmutes. We'll need to document this as a circumstance that could lead to a claim. It'll be noted when your policy comes up for renewal. Great. The firm mandates that I complete an 8-hour CLE on conflicts of interest before taking any new client intakes. They've already registered me for a seminar that Saturday. 8 a.m., of course. I show up at a hotel conference room with about 20 other attorneys. One of the instructors is Patricia, a divorce attorney I've opposed a few times. She definitely knows why I'm there based on the look she gave me. Most of the morning is standard material, rules, case law, procedures. Then we get to case studies and Patricia brings up in re Johnson, a 2019 disciplinary matter. Attorney representing a divorce client starts dating someone, turns out to be the opposing party, discovers it at a settlement conference. Same exact situation as mine from 6 years ago in a different state, and I wanted to sink through the floor. At lunch, another attorney mentions he heard about something similar happening at a firm in town recently. Doesn't know it's me, but clearly the story's getting around. I finish the seminar, pass the exam, bring the certificate back to the firm. A few weeks later, the bar sends a letter. The inquiry is closed with a private caution, basically a warning that stays in their files but isn't public discipline. Could have been worse. My malpractice premium went up about 15% when it renewed in September. The carrier cited the reported disciplinary circumstance in the renewal letter. The firm implemented some new procedures for me specifically. For the next 6 months, I have to get conflicts pre-cleared by the General Counsel before taking on any new client. They also added mandatory AKA/nickname fields to our intake forms and conflict check system. The worst part isn't the official stuff though. It's that people know. Not everyone, but enough. I've been called the coffee shop lawyer twice at bar events. Last month opposing counsel asked if I'd met the other party before with this look on her face. The story's definitely circulating. Some versions have me engaged to Sarah. One has me not finding out until trial. It's becoming one of those cautionary tales people tell each other. Haven't dated anyone since March. Deleted the apps. Before I did, I matched with someone who mentioned her divorce and I immediately asked who her lawyer was. She unmatched pretty quick. Can't really blame her. Dave, if you see this, I'm sorry, man. I really didn't know. I hope things worked out okay for you. Sarah, hope you're doing well. Everyone else, just ask the basic questions. Run proper conflict checks. Verify AKAs. It's not worth it. TL, opposing counsel reported the conflict to the bar under Rule 8.3, firm made me do mandatory CLE, inquiry closed with a private caution, malpractice premium went up 15%, now I need pre-clearance on new clients and the firm added AKA fields to our system. Story spread around the local legal community, got a nickname, haven't dated since. Officially just a caution, but reputation took a real hit. TIFU by never eating a real kiwi, by user Cannibal Capra. When I was a kid I was a huge fan of strawberry flavored things. Once I tried a drink that was strawberry kiwi since they didn't have just strawberry and it was just awful. It was way too sweet and very artificial tasting. My young brain decided that it was because it was kiwi and kiwi was gross. So I've lived my life thinking kiwi was just not something I really cared for. However, recently I was watching a comedian who mentioned she had stomach problems her whole life and her mom kept telling her to eat kiwi, with the peel, for just as long. Even as she was leaving home to go overseas her mom mentioned eating kiwi to help her stomach. Then she saw a doctor on TikTok who recommended it for the same reason and she decided to give in and just eat the damn kiwi. And it actually worked and helped her stomach issues. I had been having a lot of bloating and stomach pain recently and while at the store decided what the hell. And bought a kiwi just to see if it would help. So I got home and bit into the kiwi, with the peel, and it blew my mind. It was so flavorful and tart and delicious that I ate the whole thing in just a few minutes. Which isn't hard to do since they're small. I absolutely loved the flavor and texture and now I just want to go buy like 15 kiwis. So for nearly 30 years of life I haven't eaten kiwi because I tried it once in a drink and didn't like it, and turns out I actually love kiwi. I know this isn't very exciting but this has totally broadened my horizons. Also it did work. Shortly after eating it my stomach pain eased significantly and now I feel way better. Try things even if you think you don't like them, you never know when you're going to change and realize it's something you love. TL, Drive, decided I didn't like kiwi as a kid and never questioned it, now it's one of my favorite fruit and actually helped my stomach problems. Edit, guys, the distinction between kiwi bird and kiwi fruit is getting old. I'm pretty sure in 2025 everyone is very aware that one is not the other. I'm sure you're a proud New Zealander, but after the 40th comment it's a little like me saying actually what you mean is the gooseberry not a goose. If I'm not saying it correctly it's probably safe to say I'm not a native, and if I'm not a native I'm probably not talking about the bird since as far as I'm aware they only live in New Zealand. Maybe I'm a dumbass but I promise I don't mean the bird and I don't care if it's technically called a kiwi fruit.